Today at home with Miss Joan, I got to thinking, well, you know, I haven't shown my YouTube friends how to can butter. I know you heard me right. I'm going to can some butter. Real butter now, not margarine. I wouldn't dare do this recipe for margarine, but yes, you can can real butter. Now, this is not what you call a USDA approved recipe, but it's one that I got from a really great canner that I trust. I learned it from Homestead Heart here right on YouTube, and she's been canning it for years and years, and I've done it too, but I thought this time I need to share it with my friends. Now what I'm going to do is I've got 12 pounds of butter here, and I choose to do half and half. In other words, half salted butter and half unsalted butter. It does seem like when you can it, the salted taste might get a little bit stronger, I guess is the word. So anyway, all in the world that you do, put it in a boiler and let it melt down. Then you put the hot liquid into your jars and can it. But I'm going to take you through the entire process. Now all we got to do is just take our butter out and start getting the paper off of it and putting it into a boiler. Now what I'm going to do, the reason I've got it divided this way, 3 unsalted and 3 salted, 2 different ways, is I'm going to put it in 2 different boilers. I'm hoping that my butter's going to melt quicker that way. You may be thinking, well, Miss Jones, why in the world did you go to the trouble of doing all of this? Why don't you just stick it in deep freeze and keep it? Well, one thing, I'm trying to bring my freezers down to not holding so much stuff. The power goes out or whatever. I have got some butter, shelf stable, good for 5 years. On my shelves, so I don't have to worry about putting it in the refrigerator, and I don't have to worry about putting it in my freezers. It's perfectly fine sitting up on my shelves, and I love to get more and more items on my shelves, out of my refrigerator and out of my freezers, and that's what I'm doing today. Now I will stir it frequently because it would stick if you get it too high, you know, going too hot. So I will watch it because I don't want to can no burned butter, do I? But anyway, this is going to be so easy, and I bet some of you are going to want to try it. Y'all got my canner warming up with 3 quarts of water in it with a splash of vinegar because we're going to have hot butter. I've got my jars hot in my dishwasher, and what I'm trying to do right now is I'm just skimming off the foam that the butter is making. Now, I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to save it. We'll butter some biscuits. We'll butter some corn. We'll do something with it. But I was just getting that top film off of it, the foam that it's making. So now it's all melted down. It's all melted down. I'm just dipping off the foam, and it won't be but just a few minutes till we'll be jarring it up and getting it going in the pressure canner. Okay, y'all, I'm going to fill up 2 jars for you so you won't have to watch me do all of them. That's my ice maker making that loud racket. I'm trying to talk loud, but I'm going to fill it up to about a 1 inch headspace, which is pretty standard on a lot of stuff, which is this bottom rim of the jar. Okay. I know a lot of y'all have already told me how much you love canning. I do too. I love preserving things. Isn't that pretty? It's like liquid gold. All right, looking for that 1 inch headspace, and I'm going to stop. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe off my rims by dipping my paper towel in vinegar. I'm going to go all the way around my, whoa, glory, hot jar. Oh, shoot, very hot. I'm going to readjust my paper towel, some more vinegar, and do it again. Because, see, this butter is grease, so it's going to be slick on the top of this rim, and it might keep it from sealing. So 1 lid, and another one. I tell y'all a lot of things that my mother canned, but she didn't can butter. I've seen her churn it. I bet you've seen yours churn it too. But I actually learned this, like I said, from Homestead Heart here on YouTube. A lady that I follow that I really, really trust. I've got my lids on here. I'm gonna put my ring on here. Look at there, finger tight. And one lady wrote to me not too long ago, she said, you put it on there finger tight and then you twisted it again. No, I got almost a finger tight, then I gave it a light turn. But anyway, I don't know about any of you canners out there. Have you noticed that nowadays when you buy the rings, they don't want to fit the jar, even though it's a smallmouth ring? That's just kind of the issue that I'm having right now, is actually getting a ring that won't, I don't know, it's not perfectly round or something. It seems like sometimes things are just getting cheaper made, and it sure does hurt if you're canning. So I'm going to loosen that up and show you that I did finger tight. And I'm going to loosen that up and show you that I did finger tight. All right. If you're noticing a sediment here in the bottom, later on we'll shake these up, and all of the butter will all go in together. But that's just natural for it to do that. Now, this is a pint. You can the butter just like you would meat. A pint would go 75 minutes, 90 for a quart. Now, I never would do a quart of butter. I'd do a pint like we're doing right here, but not a quart. Y'all, we wound up with 13 pints in here. I've got 8 on the bottom. Then I put in one of these divider racks so I could double stack. My canner will double stack. Some of them aren't big enough to do that. You'll have to check yours. And I put 5 on the top for a total of 13. All right. Now I've got a canning video out there that I made for beginning canners. Pressure canning for beginners. So there's some steps that I won't necessarily go through because it's so repetitious for all of the seasoned canners. But I took a lot of time and I made that video called Pressure Canning for Beginners. If you look that up now before you start doing something like this, okay? And then you'll be ready. But you check your canner top, make sure the lock's going up and down. You try to look through this hole, the air vent hole, and I'm looking through it and I can see my camera lady. Check the rubber gasket, make sure that it's good in there. And then I put it on here. Here it sit down. All right, and see that arrow right there? I'm gonna line up my hours by closing this. Okay, now it's closed down. This is my lock, it's down, and when so much pressure starts coming up out of this canner, this is gonna rise up, and I know we're locked down and good. But right now, it's really simple. We gotta wait till steam starts coming out this hole. And it needs to start coming out good and strong for 10 full minutes. All of that's explained in that Pressure Canning for Beginners video, okay? And then I'm gonna let it run 10 good minutes. Then I'm gonna put the weight on it. And you need to check the weight of where you live. For me, we use 10 pounds. We pressure can at 10 pounds, 10-pound weight. But you got to check where you live, the altitude above sea level, and that'll tell you what poundage to use. Alrighty, I'm just going to sit around and wait for my steam to start coming out. Canning my butter. How stout, how strong this steam's coming out. It's been coming out like this for 10 full minutes. And now that time has passed, it's time for me to put my 10-pound weight on here. Alright, now, when my pressure gauge here, see it's climbing from 0 right now. It gets up to 10. That's when I'll set my clock on 75 minutes. So now we're just waiting on it to get to 10 pounds of pressure. Now if you don't have a pressure gauge like this, you wait till your jiggler is what we call this thing right here. When it starts jiggling, you'll know that it's reached 10 pounds and you start setting your clock then, okay? Alrighty, you see it's climbing, it's already getting up there. If you'll see that this has started rocking and I'm on 10 pounds of pressure, so I am going to start my clock on 75 minutes. I'm going to turn my eye down slowly to about medium heat, and this right here, we want it to rock, but we don't want it to rock vigorously. See how fast it's going right now? We want it to come down just a little bit, so I turn my heat down. That's the only way that we can adjust it. So anyway, this is going to make it start doing a gentle rock, and we're going to let it go for 75 minutes. Hey y'all, I have let this pressure can, for 75 minutes, and then I let it cool down for a little over an hour, because that way my pressure gauge came all the way down to 0, and this is, like I said, been setting an hour past the 75-minute canning time. That's why it's so safe and easy for me to take the 10-pound pressure off. Okay, we're going to open it up, see what our butter looks like. No matter when you open it up, I always open it up away from you, okay? You don't want to burn all the hair off your face. All right. Whoa, look how pretty. Let's get this out and look at it. See there? Let's see, it's got some settlement in the bottom. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Oh, here's the others. See how pretty it is? But if you'll notice, it's really clear and yellow, and then it has a little bit right here at the bottom. Well, that's the separation from the fats and the solids in here. And so I'm going to let it cool for just a little bit, and then I'm going to take it and I'm going to shake each jar so that this will all shake up together. And what I'm going to do is about, every 15 minutes, I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to shake each jar. I'm not going to turn them over completely, let them sit on their lid, okay? All that's in the butter to make my seals, not seal. So I'm just going to shake it. I'm going to do that every 15 minutes, for at least an hour, maybe a little longer, about 4 times maybe. And you can tell when it's getting more solid and it doesn't have this stuff settling in the bottom. But anyway, it's perfectly fine just like it is, but it's much prettier on your shelf if you do that. But anyway, I'll show you that here in a little bit. Okay, y'all, now what we do is we come in here. You see how it's got some, where it's settled some in the bottom of the jar? And so what you do is you just shake it up. Like that. I'm going to shake every one of them about every 15 minutes. Well, I make sure all of this is shook up good together. And I'll come back in the morning and I'll show y'all the finished product. Shake, shake, shake. Hey y'all, it's the next morning and here is our butter. Don't it look pretty? What I do the next morning of everything I can is I wash them down good with a damp cloth. And then I check them all, of course, to make sure that they're sealed, and they all have sealed. And then after I do that, then I'll take the rings off. And it'll actually be stored like this right here. And also, I'll put the date on here. Before it ever goes into my pantry, I do all that stuff. But anyway, I'm so tickled about it. And you remember all that shaking that we did? Well, you can see that, don't get scared if you have some butter settling in the bottom of yours. I read up on that, and it said it's the fat separating out from the liquid, and it's the solid and it's the heaviest, so it wants to go to the bottom. So anyway, that's what that is, so don't be alarmed. And anyway, look, I have got 13 pints of butter to put on my shelves. I told you that, I think, in the earlier part of the video, that I'm all about pantry preparedness. We live in what's called Tornado Alley, and you don't know what kind of natural disasters or things that are going to happen. Now, I don't live in fear. I just believe we ought to be prepared as well as we can. And so anyway, this will be something else that I can put on my shelf, that I'll have some good butter if we need it. And it doesn't take refrigeration, and it doesn't take putting in my freezer. Okay, I thought what I would do is to open up a jar of the last one that I did, or this one is 23. I've opened it up one here that I canned 2 years ago. Okay, it's been sitting on the shelf. And look at here, I'm just stirring it up. Look how creamy it is. See it? I've got me a piece of sourdough bread sitting here. I thought I would just show y'all. So many times we can things, but we forget to show our YouTube friends, well, now, how does it hold up? What do you do with it? And, is it still good after so long? Well, here you see. Of course, I love bread anyway. It tastes just like it would if I had just opened up some butter today and tried to butter my bread. It's just as creamy and it has just as much of a butter flavor. So I hope that little part helps you in deciding if you're going to can you some butter up and put it on your shelf. I appreciate so much y'all tuning in to At Home with Miss Joan. I love carrying y'all along with me. It feels like you're just sitting in my kitchen and we're just having a good old talk and working together on canning or cooking or whatever we're doing. I appreciate you watching today. Can you up some butter? Okay, you learned it right here at Home with Miss Joan. At Home with Miss Joan, would you like? You know, whether you like it or not, okay? At Home with Miss Joan, please subscribe. Sure does help this old girl's channel grow. Won't you share with friends and family? You know, like your mom and them, okay? Comment right here and you'll hear back from me. You know, preacher, get back with you, my daughter, me, somebody will right here from At Home with Miss Joan. Woo! Y'all check these videos out, okay?